kind of, I guess, wrapping up our thoughts here on it. There's a lot to like with this movie, especially, like I said, the first act is fantastic. I mean, just the way they introduced this new Batman. Like you said, Pattinson's great in this role. I liked the casting. I when they announced it, I'm like, yeah, he's a really good actor, and he can definitely run with this. And I like, like how you said that, it's very much like this hard-boiled, hardened Batman that we kind of got a little bit with Christian Bale's Batman, but this really takes it to the next level and makes this kind of this really, and I like the how Gotham, like you said, this is a very different Gotham. It's a very weathered Gotham, literally with the constant rain, which is again ripped straight from Seven. But constant rain, constant darkness, but I like that though. I'm fine with that. That's cool, and it really adds a lot of character to this city.
Oh yeah,
this is very different.
One place you don't want to be, walking around.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, being the loaded cast, of course. Shout out Mr. Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, which I don't think we got enough of. I was just thinking.
I agree.
I think the last thing we saw of Alfred was him in the hospital bed. So if this is going to be our new Batman, we need more Alfred.
I agree.
I think it's going to be hard to follow up Sir Michael Caine.
Right.
But Andy Serkis, him and Matt have been, working in the past, especially him as Caesar.
That's true.
We need a little bit more Andy Serkis if he's going to be our new Alfred.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Alfred was a little underrepresented in this. Like, I think you could have taken some of Selina's scenes and given them to Alfred to kind of really build up that relationship with Batman and Alfred as like this father figure, because they kind of lean into it, but they don't lean into it enough to where it's kind of earned. Because like I love the whole moment when the Riddler shows that scene, that the video of the Wayne family and the Arkham family and how they've kind of are the real foundation for this corruption, and they kind of enabled it through that $1 billion fund. And like that's brilliant, because like that's how a lot of corruption starts, is through these through these things that maybe have been started for good intentions but have been exploited, like these big nonprofit funds and these big non-government organizations and things like that are supposed to be for good intentions, but obviously get perverted for corruption and money laundering and drug dealing and all these different things that I think this film explores. And when it does, that's the highlight for me. It is really showing the dark underbelly of Gotham City and having Batman kind of come up and clean the mess up, because again, it's more than just fighting thugs. It's about, uprooting a system that has made Gotham a dump. So it's like,
seriously.
Yeah, there's a lot to, and like you said, that has a lot of real world application, So that's something that I thought was so ballsy for a film like this, and for especially for a Batman film, a first Batman film, to dive into this, these adult themes like corruption and drug dealing and money laundering and bribery and blackmail and how it affects politics. All of that.
Social media being a strong
right, radicalization, all of these different things through media and through all of that. I thought that was so well done, and really is what made this movie work for me. And again, a lot of my complaints, they are valid. Like I said, this film is definitely derivative of films we've seen before, no doubt about it. But again, as in terms of a Batman film, we haven't seen anything like this, and I appreciate them trying something new and trying something unique. So, I was really impressed. But I got a question for you. Out of 5, well, actually, we'll do final thoughts. What's your final thoughts, I guess, on this film? Then we'll give it a rating and do the reviewing of the reviews.
Final thoughts. It's a reason why the title is The Batman. It's a high chance of being its own standalone Batman movie. We might get another one. We also, I have I'm going to say 70% chance that we don't get another Robert Pattinson movie. So
really, why do you think that?
I think so. I think it'd be sweet if we don't. I 70% is high, but I can see this just being the Batman movie, and that's it. And I think that kind of plays off to it. It does kind of have some sneakiness at the end.
Yeah, right? They set up the sequel, and that's another thing that pissed me off about this too, is that they set up the sequel with the Joker and all. I'm like, we're getting another Joker? Like, really?
Right.
I was like, come on. And like, and it plays, and like I said, it plays into the tropes of superhero films of, oh, we got to set up the next one, to set up the next one, to set up the next one. And it's just like, couldn't this have just, it was so great. The first two acts of just having this contained story. And then they just try to blow it up into, we need a franchise. We need a Batman verse. And it's like, can't we just tell good stories, you know?
But good thoughts, all good thoughts. It was highly recommended. I would maybe see it again. Just because it was awesome seeing it on IMAX.
No doubt.
You know, Matt Reeves, definitely, not new to the industry, especially too with a good cast like that. You're not going to go wrong. So was happy with it. Delayed production, of course, pandemic, a lot of other films. But, glad it's finally hitting theaters. And people are loving it. I haven't really seen – well, we're going to go over the reviews later. But I loved it. I was definitely a big fan.
So what would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5, we'll keep it simple. Nothing major, but like a 3.9.
3.9?
Yeah, 3.9. We're not getting in the 4s. Yeah, it was good. Wasn't great, but I was still a fan. So yeah, 3.9. What about you, TJ?
Yeah, I'll just give my quick final thoughts, man. Like I said, and I kind of was talking about it already, but I liked how this film did take risks, especially with the political aspects of this film. I thought were brilliant, and I thought the way that they interwove that with the Batman origin story was so smart and a great way to kind of introduce this character. And like I said, the performances were all really good. I like Zoey Kravitz a lot in this role. I just think that the character, the way she's written, was kind of messy and a little bit unearned. And again, the huge plot hole of her being Falcone's daughter, that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it just didn't make sense, for why she wouldn't realize that he was so involved in the city's politics and all that. But, again, like I said, I really loved the hard-boiled crime film aspect of this film, but I think it just kind of deviates into the typical superhero tropes that we see, and that was just kind of disappointing. And I think this film was just a little too long for its own good. It should have been about 2 hours and 10 minutes maybe, and they should have cut a lot of the fat out of this. But again, I think this is there's a lot to like here, and if you're a Batman fan, I think you'll really enjoy this. But again, it doesn't have the rewatchability of some of the other films or the iconic moments of some of the other Batman films we've seen. And again, I think it's very derivative of films like David Fincher films like Zodiac and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and especially Seven. And also it rips off a lot from The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. So I was wishing that it could some of the plot points could be a little bit more unique and a little bit more contained. But again, for what we got, this could have been a disaster, and it wasn't. So, like I said, it's always a good thing to see. And, do I want to see a sequel for this? We're going to see it probably because this movie's making a crap ton of money. And that's the reason why I do think we're going to see another Batman film. But, with Robert Pattinson. But, is it something that I really want to see? I don't know. If they can make it shorter and a little bit more tight, then yes. But if it's another 3-hour film, I'll probably see it anyway, but I just won't enjoy it. And then,
the Joker Riddler combo would be nice, especially.
I think they're gonna go for like all the villains like ganging up, kind of like they do in the Arkham games. So and they might even do an Arkham Asylum movie, which would be interesting. But overall, really enjoyed it, man. I did like a lot of it. The action was great, but again, it could have been tighter, could have been more compact. So my rating, I'm gonna go out of 5. I'm going to go 4.3. I really liked it, man. And I think it's just because the first 2 acts are so strong. But again, couldn't even get it to a 4.5 just because for all the complaints that I just mentioned, some of the holes in this. I mean, it's definitely not as plot hole filled as some other films like No Time to Die and other ones we talked about. But again, there is definitely some things that kind of make you scratch your head. But it's not too bad. It's not too egregious. But again, like I said, the detective aspect of this film really works, and his collaboration with Gordon is great. That's where this film really shines. So 4.3 out of 5.
Jeffrey Wright putting it in the books for another good Commissioner Gordon or Lieutenant Gordon. Yeah,
and I think honestly he's probably my favorite Gordon just because of his role in this film. He has a lot more to do than even Gary Oldman's Gordon, who kind of is just there to facilitate things, more so than like being integral to the story itself. But 4.3 out of 5, man. I actually really enjoyed this. I did.